It was a dark and stormy night, and a dense fog had settled over our small town of Ravenswood. We had just finished our annual Halloween carnival, and my friends and I were still buzzing with excitement. Little did we know that the night was about to take a chilling turn. As the clock struck midnight, Bus 13, our last ride home, started its eerie journey. Mr. Jenkins, our stern but reliable driver who'd been on the route for over a decade, steered the bus through the rainy darkness. He knew every corner of our town, but this night was different. We were still giggling and sharing stories from the carnival when it happened. A cold shiver ran down my spine, and an eerie silence fell over our group. The bus's headlights flickered, and Mr. Jenkins struggled to keep control of the steering wheel. Outside, the rain lashed against the windows, and distant thunder rumbled ominously. As we reached the outskirts of town, I noticed a shadowy figure standing in the middle of the road. Dressed in tattered clothes and cloaked in darkness, the person seemed to be waiting for us. Mr. Jenkins slammed on the brakes, and the bus skidded to a halt just inches away from the figure. My heart pounded as I stared at the man. He was tall and gaunt, with eyes that glowed with an otherworldly intensity. The man extended a bony hand and signaled Mr. Jenkins to open the door. Trembling, our driver complied, and the man stepped onto the bus. He introduced himself as Elias, a former student of Ravenswood Elementary who had disappeared mysteriously decades ago. Elias claimed that he had been on the bus that fateful night when it went off the road and into the river. He had never been found, and his disappearance had remained an unsolved mystery. Elias explained that he had been trapped in a dark realm ever since that tragic night. He'd been watching over the town for years, seeking a way to communicate with the living. Halloween night provided the perfect opportunity. With a trembling voice, Elias begged us to return to the carnival and find a locket he had lost on that ill-fated bus ride. He believed the locket held the key to his release. We were bewildered and frightened, but we agreed to help. In the dim light of the carnival, we scoured the area for the lost locket. Finally, in the shadows near the old abandoned bus depot, we discovered it, covered in mud and forgotten for decades. As we picked it up, the ground shook and a ghastly wail echoed through the night. Elias appeared before us, the glow in his eyes intensifying. He took the locket, held it to his heart, and with a brilliant flash of light, vanished into the night, finally freed from his torment. Bus 13 continued its journey without incident, and we arrived safely at our homes. The legend of Elias and the haunted school bus became a chilling tale told around campfires for generations to come, a reminder that sometimes, even in the most ordinary of places, the supernatural can lurk, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself.
It was a typical, monotonous school day, and the oppressive weight of early morning classes had already begun to take its toll on me. As I sat at my desk, struggling to keep my eyes open, the drone of the teacher's voice became a distant hum. I desperately wished for just a few minutes of respite, even if it meant a secret, stolen nap. During a particularly tedious history lecture, I hatched a plan. The classroom lights were dim, and the gentle hum of the air conditioning seemed to coax me into drowsiness. My eyelids grew heavy, and I couldn't resist the allure of sleep any longer. With the teacher's back turned, I leaned my head on my folded arms, feigning attentiveness, but my mind had already started to drift into the dreamy embrace of slumber. I found myself in a blissful, imaginary world, completely disconnected from the classroom. But soon, that serene dream world began to shift. What started as a peaceful meadow turned into a surreal nightmare. I found myself standing in the middle of a dimly lit, abandoned school. The hallway stretched endlessly in both directions, and the silence was deafening. I realized I was trapped in a dream within a dream. Panicking, I tried to reawaken, but my attempts were futile. I was stuck in this eerie, alternate reality. Shadows danced on the walls, and the sound of footsteps echoed in the distance. My heart raced as I realized I wasn't alone. Someone, or something, was here with me. I cautiously ventured down the corridor, my footsteps echoing with an eerie resonance. The lockers lining the walls creaked and groaned as if they held restless spirits. The footsteps grew louder, and my pulse quickened. I had to find a way out. As I reached a set of double doors, I pushed them open, revealing an old classroom. But this wasn't just any classroom, it was a nightmarish version of my own. The desks were askew, the walls were covered in strange symbols, and eerie whispers filled the air. In the center of the room, I saw a shadowy figure hunched over a desk. It was my teacher, but something was terribly wrong. His back was turned to me, and he was writing furiously on a chalkboard. The chalk scratched the board in a maddening rhythm. I called out, but my voice came out as a weak, ghostly whisper. The teacher turned around, revealing hollow, empty eyes. He pointed a chalk-covered hand at me, and I felt an overwhelming sense of dread. Suddenly, I woke up in my actual classroom, drenched in sweat, my classmates and teachers staring at me with a mixture of concern and curiosity. I had fallen asleep during the lecture, and my sleep-deprived brain had conjured a waking nightmare. From that day on, I never dared to fall asleep in school again. The experience served as a stark reminder that the line between reality and dreams could blur in the most unexpected ways, especially when the siren call of sleep beckons in the most unlikely of places. In a small school called Oak Ridge Elementary, there was a teacher named Miss Hawthorne. She was known for being quite mysterious, and her students were always curious about her. Miss Hawthorne taught a class of fourth graders and was famous for her unusual ways of teaching. She used riddles and puzzles to make learning fun and to encourage us to think more deeply. One day, she gave us a challenging riddle to solve. The whole class became excited and started working together to figure it out. Miss Hawthorne watched us with a mysterious smile. We spent weeks trying to solve the riddle. It became an obsession for the whole class, and even our parents and other teachers got involved. The riddle seemed impossible to crack. But then, one day, the answer suddenly came to me. I nervously went to Miss Hawthorne and told her my solution. She confirmed that I had figured it out. When I solved the riddle, something amazing happened. The classroom filled with a warm, golden light, and we heard a beautiful, haunting tune. Miss Hawthorne's mysterious aura seemed to disappear, and she explained that her goal as a teacher was not just to teach facts, but to make us love learning and asking questions. The riddle symbolized that learning was about more than just finding answers, it was about asking the right questions. Miss Hawthorne's teachings had a lasting impact on me. Her mystery remained, but the lesson she taught us about the joy of learning stayed with me. Her classroom was not just a place for lessons, it was a place of change, where curiosity and imagination were celebrated, and riddles were the key to unlocking our potential.